Hey guys, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. I'm Nicole Miranda, and for today's video, we're going to be talking about the Axeman of New Orleans. In 1918, over a period of 18 months, the city of New Orleans and surrounding areas were haunted by a serial killer that would later go on by the name the Axeman. The Axeman was a manifestation of the boogeyman, lurking in the shadows of New Orleans, almost exclusively attacking people at night, and is possibly responsible for 12 attacks and 6 killings. He only seemed to strike people who slept in their beds. On May 23, 1918, the first suspected Axeman attack occurred. Catherine and Joseph Maggio were struck violently by an axe, and a straight razor was used on their throats. Catherine had almost been entirely decapitated, and Joseph had suffered many severe injuries. The bodies were discovered by Joseph's brothers who lived in the same house. Nothing was heard or seen, and no valuables were taken. The bottom panel of the kitchen door was knocked out, and all that was found was an axe. A little over a month later, on June 28, 1918, another attack occurred. A severely injured Louis and Anna Lowe were discovered by a baker named John Zanka making morning deliveries. Louis actually survived the attack, and Anna would survive for another 7 weeks before dying. The bottom panel of their bedroom door was missing, and once again a bloody axe was left at the scene. Roughly a month later, on August 5, 1918, at an undisclosed home location, Miss Ed Snyder was found by her husband in the afternoon at their home. Miss Schneider was still alive and would be rushed to the charity hospital and would reportedly survive the attack. Upon investigation, it was discovered that their axe was missing from their shed. The bottom panel of their bedroom door was missing, and once again a bloody axe was left at the scene. Miss Schneider was also pregnant, and I am happy to report the following week of the attack she successfully gave birth. A few days later, on August 10, 1918, reportedly near Tonti and Heavier Street, 89-year-old Joseph Romano was found by his nieces Pauline and Mary after they had heard him struggling. His head was bashed in, and the two girls allegedly saw the attacker and described him as, quote, dark, tall, heavy-set, wearing a dark suit and black slouch hat. Joseph Romano would die 2 days later. Around this time, August of 1918, the New Orleans newspaper allegedly recounted, quote, armed men are keeping watch over their sleeping families while the police are seeking to solve the mysteries of the axe attacks. Extra police are being put to work daily, end quote. When looking at the timeline, it apparently worked for a while, as nearly 7 months later, on March 10, 1919, the Cormelia family was attacked. Rose Cormelia woke up to her husband Charles fighting the Axeman, a fight that Charles would lose. Rose and their 2-year-old daughter Mary were also attacked. Rose and Charles would actually survive, but their daughter did not. In typical Axeman fashion, the axe used belonged to the Cormelias. 5 days later, a New Orleans newspaper called the Times-Picayune received a letter from the Axeman, quote, Hell, March 13, 1919. Esteemed mortal, they have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible, even as the ether which surrounds your earth. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a fell demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and you foolish police call the Axeman. He also goes to remind the people that he could be worse. Quote, undoubtedly, you Orleanians think of me as the most horrible murderer, which I am, but I could be much worse if I wanted to. At will, I could slay thousands of your best citizens, for I am close relationship with the angel of death. He also mentioned, now to be exact, at 12:15 o'clock earthly time, on next Tuesday night, I am going to pass over New Orleans in an infinite mercy. I am going to make a little proposition to the jazz people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose house a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. If everyone has a jazz band going, well then, so much better for the people. One thing is certain is that some of those persons who do not jazz it on Tuesday night, if there are any, will get the axe. This letter would later spark on the creation of the jazz song entitled Don't Scare Me Papa, also known as Mysterious Axeman Jazz. The day the night mentioned in the letter was March 19, 1919. It is said that the city was truly alive that night. as people blasted jazz music in their homes, and those who did not have a record player poured into local jazz clubs to stay clear of the Axeman's wrath. It is worth mentioning that nobody was killed on March 19th, 1919. On August 10th, 1919, Steve Boca was badly injured in his home after he woke up to a man next to his bed with an axe. Boca managed to survive the attack, reportedly staggering to a friend's home, who then called the police. Boca did not regain his memory, likely due to the blows to the head. In early September, 19-year-old Sarah Luman was reportedly attacked by someone who entered their open window. When she regained consciousness, she could not recall the details of the attack. About 2 months later, October 27th, 1919, the suspected Axeman attacked Esther and Mike Pepitone. Esther reportedly awoke around 1 a.m. to her husband screaming and ran to the bedroom. Her husband's head was struck 18 times and died 2 hours later. Esther saw the two figures in the bedroom but could not identify them as they fled the scene. A bolt with a heavy nut, something used to secure a circus tent, was used as one of the apparent weapons. There was a circus on nearby Tulane Avenue that weekend. Now, this is the end of the Axeman killing spree, so let's get into the theories. The first theory is that perhaps not all of the killings were the work of the Axeman. Some speculate that the Axeman presumed final killing of Mike Pepitone was actually a mafia killing due to Pepitone's father killing a man in the past. Another Axeman attack is scrutinized in the second attack on Louis Bessemer and Anna Lowe. If you recall, Louis Bessemer was severely injured and his partner Anna Lowe was killed in the same attack. However, Bessemer was charged with the murder of Anna. Police found that Bessemer had written letters back and forth in Yiddish and Russian. They eventually came to the conclusion that Bessemer was a part of the German spy ring, or a spy master, for the Kaiser, and an attack had nothing to do with the Axeman. Before dying, Anna Lowe allegedly blamed her partner Louis Bessemer and said that he was a Nazi spy. They also theorized that this case was a domestic dispute that ended with Louis attacking Anna. Louis Bessemer was acquitted. There were definitely things that suggested this was a work of the Axeman, mainly the fact that it had happened at night and that they were sleeping with an axe. With this theory, it is also speculated on the internet that some of the killings of the Axeman could have been the work of a copycat. The second theory is given of the context of the letter. Some believe that the Axeman to be a supernatural figure that could slip through teeny entranceways and become a large man that witnesses describe the killer to be. The last theory is actually a suspect by the name of Joseph Mumfree. To start on Mumfree, let's return to the Axeman's last crime, the attack on Esther and Mike Pepitone. If you remember, Esther survived the attack and her husband did not. Esther later moved to Los Angeles and remarried to a man named Angelo Albano. On second anniversary of her former husband Mike's death by the Axeman, her current husband Angelo disappeared and was never found again. Esther recalled that before their marriage, Angela had ended business relations with a man who went by many names, including Joseph Mumfree. December 5th, 1921, Mumfree visited Esther's home. He demanded $500 in Esther's jewelry, threatening that he would, quote, kill her the same way he had killed her husband. Esther then killed him with a revolver. Given the fact that Esther was present for the Axeman slaying of her husband Mike Pepitone, when Esther was arrested for the shooting of Joseph Mumfree, she claimed that Mumfree was the Axeman and had seen him run from her bedroom the night of her husband was slain. The LAPD noted that there was evidence linking Mumfree to the death of Mike Pepitone, and Esther was acquitted for Mumfree's death. Here are some other things that seem to suggest Joseph Mumfree was the Axeman. Upon investigation, the police found that Mumfree, leading a blackmailing gang in New Orleans that preyed on Italians, and almost all of the Axeman victims were Italian. Mumfree was in and out of prison for the past 10 years, and at his time outside of prison coincided with the attack by the Axeman. That being said, there was not enough evidence to directly link Mumfree to the crimes. Only circumstantial evidence led people to believe Mumfree was the killer. If you recall, Esther Pepitone originally said that two men in her bedroom the night her first husband was killed. So either she's lying or the Axeman perhaps is multiple people. All for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms. And until next time, bye guys.